everybody. Welcome to Authors Go for Broke. My name is Bailey, and I'm here to introduce you to Antoine Monks. He is the author of HEROLESS. I have the book right here. It's amazing, absolutely outstanding. If you love superheroes, this is a go-to book. I highly recommend it. Antoine and I have actually been talking for a ridiculous amount of time prior to this because he's just so sociable and like you have so much charisma. So can you please just introduce yourself to everybody and tell us where you're from and just a little bit about who you are?
Okay. First of all, thanks for having me on. It's fun to be get a chance to talk about this. Normally, it's like I have to control myself, so it's cool to go into a space where it's all, open.
Oh,
But
yeah.
yeah, I'm from Canada. I'm from British Columbia, so that's over on the West Coast. So I have a French name, but I don't speak French. My mother was French Canadian, so I'm named after her mother, Antoinette, so I have the male version of that name. And I actually live in Prague now for like the last 9 years, something like this. So I've been away from Canada for a long time. And I'm also a chef by day, and I'm writing on my free time.
You do everything. You're like so fascinating. Just
Oh,
like
thank you.
written down. You're like what everyone wants to do. Be a chef in Prague. I don't know. It's like the dream life.
Yeah, I mean the city is really nice. The chef thing was not my sort of first choice. I sort of got a job dishwashing when I was a teenager, and then things just sort of happened. The one day I was working and no. Yeah, one day I was working and like the main chef didn't show up, so I had to get moved into helping, and then I never washed another plate, so that's, kind of that.
Hey, I
Except
hear
it's
that I had a friend who was a dishwasher, also young to start, and it's like back-breaking work. So
yeah,
maybe they were happy when they handed you like a knife. Like, can you chop things?
it's honestly one of the things that only people in the service industry know is it's actually more difficult often to do the dishwashing stuff because you do so much running. You're working with really hot water and chemicals and oil and everything like this, and I think in many ways the kitchen can be less physically taxing sometimes, depending how things are set up. Different kitchens are different. Some are more brutal than others. But yeah, if the dishwasher is gone, like then everything shuts down. You can't do anything without them, really.
They run the kitchen in their own
Oh yeah,
way.
yeah, pretty much. Yeah. Also, sometimes you wind up with a situation where the dishwasher has been there for like 2 years, and if you've been getting rotation in the actual cooks and chefs.
Hmm.
The dishwashers suddenly understand everything much better than they do. And it's really strange when that happens, but I've seen it a few times. It's really bizarre.
Well, hopefully people respect them, because they work super hard and they do know the kitchen.
Yeah.
So hopefully they're not like treated badly. Uh,
We
they
try.
are, maybe.
Yeah.
Oh man, our world. Come on,
Yeah.
guys. We can be better.
I think it's kind of improved a little bit after COVID because so many people who were in kitchens were forced to find something else. So I think the culture did improve somewhat in some places. It's not quite as extreme as it used to be. But I haven't really gone. This is one reason why I haven't gone on like a Michelin journey because I know that the higher up you go, you can encounter more of this, you know, um,
Intense.
yeah, sort of the ratatouille experience.
Yes.
Mm.
um, so did you know how to cook? Like, if that wasn't your path, like, did you know how to cook anything when they started making you cook, or did you have to learn on the job?
Like a little bit of both. The thing is that even if you know how to cook at home, if the style of food isn't what you normally
Mm.
make, you wind up having to learn it. Like, I changed jobs around 2 years ago. I had been at the same place for quite a while. And even though I had a menu of like 30 plus items memorized, zero of it was valid for the new job. Not a single thing was
Oh
useful, almost.
no.
Yeah, it felt like going back to like being a dishwasher getting promoted into the kitchen all over again because it was like, I have no idea what any of you guys are doing. But
I never thought of that. I never thought of that because
I
menus
didn't,
don't change that often, or and if they do,
mm,
not too much. So,
yeah,
but
because you
yeah,
have the theme and all of this for the restaurant, right?
right.
Yeah.
But if you get a
Yeah.
new job, I never thought of that. Not once. Not
Yeah, I
once.
don't know. It was a learning curve, like a real curveball, definitely.
So there you are, okay, in a beautiful place, cooking and you think, you know what, I'm gonna write a book. When did you decide that you were gonna start writing?
Oh my goodness. So this goes back to when I must have been about 5 or something like this. We got some comic books, and I instantly looked at this, and I knew I wanted to do something related to this somehow. I didn't know for a long time whether I wanted to do, because for a long time I wanted to do comics as well. So I grew up drawing, and before I could read or write, I was doing like full stories. Just there was no dialogue, there was nothing written there. It was just people running here, punching those guys, running over there, and stuff like this. There was like a plot, but it was very simple. And I did that for my entire childhood. I had a massive creative block for like much of my teenage years because I think we're changing a lot in those years. And so I constantly had ideas, but I never, when you're growing up, every year or every few months, you can learn something totally new. So I couldn't finish anything. I could start it, but I had a long stretch where I could finish nothing. And then in 2010, what I must have been like 16, 17, uh, I got an idea for a epic fantasy series. Had started as Transformers fan fiction, and then I kind of got an idea of how to make it somehow its own thing. And I was working on that
Okay, I didn't know
for.
that Transformers had fan fiction.
Oh yeah, yeah,
That's
it's
new
a
to
huge
me.
thing. Yeah, yeah. This was one of my. When I was a child, I think my number one things were Godzilla, Transformers, and Star Wars, basically in that order. And yeah, the 90s is a bit of a strange time because like your first Godzilla movie might be the 98 one, which is supposed to be the worst one, but it's fun. And then the Transformers in the 90s were Beast Wars, which changed from animals. There are no humans in that franchise. There's all the Marvel and Batman cartoons on TV at the time, and Pixar was just starting with Toy Story. It's looking back at it now. It's like the end of a bunch of stuff,
And the beginning.
a bunch of awkward middle installments of other things, and the beginning of what we're still doing now. It kind of all starts with comics and then just love of cinema. And it's always been in my mind that I want to do something like this, but I always knew I didn't have a project in front of me that I was going to be able to follow through. Because I could look at it and I could say, I don't know what's wrong with this, but it's not like the stuff I'm reading or the stuff I'm watching. So I have to figure out how to make it good. I need to get good at this. And then I was struggling with that fantasy series all the way from 2010 was the beginnings of it. I was still working on that until 2022. And the funny thing is, I started working on HEROLESS in 2017 because when I moved here in 2017, I was very disoriented and I couldn't get in the headspace to keep working on that epic fantasy series. And for about a year, I'd had this idea for like a world where the villains, took over everything and so forth and so on. So I wrote some of it on my phone because I had that with me all the time, and my other stuff wasn't unpacked, and my notes were all put away and everything. So I wrote like several chapters actually, and then I put it away because I said to myself, I'm so stuck with the book I'm working on. Why don't I try writing something that I equally believe in, but is much easier to manage? So that's why I went back and I finished this one. So this is how that happened. So this has been the arc of my entire life up to this point, actually.
I love that though. I love the trials, the learning, the errors, the like pausing. I mean, it's so real, and then you end up just making something on the side kind of, but then it kind of takes over and becomes your like main one and
Yeah,
and the one you
yeah,
publish. That's
yeah.
incredible. Do you have a passion for drawing? Do you still like to draw, or do you still like do little comics for fun, or
No,
not so much?
I left that behind very much as a conscious choice around 2012, somewhere between 2012 and 2014. I'm not really sure anymore of the year.
You're so good at
But
dates. How do you know the date of everything?
I
I
can
couldn't
usually,
tell you. I don't know what today's date is. I don't know what year it is. Like,
yeah,
you're sitting
yeah.
here like throwing out dates on me. I'm like, this guy's incredible. I don't know how
I,
you do that.
I can usually remember the context of like what I was watching or reading at the time, and that usually is how I remember like what year it was.
Okay.
It's really hard to sort of explain it, but I usually have like some additional information. Like I know that when I made this decision, I had just been watching a lot of Full Metal Alchemist, and I was quite early into my first restaurant job, so I know it must have been around 2012, 2013, somewhere in there.
That is so
But
fun.
yeah, it was but yeah, I consciously made the decision to give up on doing my ideas as comics and instead to learn how to write a prose novel because by then I was reading a lot more than ever before in my life. It was the beginning of my reading journey, really. And I just said to myself, books are a much more respected art form, and you can tell a lot more story in one volume than with comics. And developing two skill sets is really difficult to do one well enough. And when you are going to have a very nuanced story, you have to learn to draw to capture all those emotions. And that is an entire thing. Like there are people that spend their entire lives and they endlessly get better at that. So then you're looking at collaborations if you want to do it as a comic, and collaborations are their own sort of difficulty. And I was really discovering literature in a huge way. It was bigger to me at that time than it ever had been before. So I said, well, I think it could be easier to focus on this instead of trying to do both. So I consciously stopped drawing so that I would not be developing a skill that I'm not going to really make use of. And I had to really focus on understanding how to form sentences and all of this. Like I wasn't just the books I was reading at the time. I wouldn't just read them. I would actually like study the sentences. I'm like, okay, how many times did they use this word? Or like, what are they doing here? Why is it affecting me so much? Or how am I
Wow.
understanding this so clearly? Like I was really getting deep into it. And I didn't have the internet full time in the apartment at that time. So I was very minimum on distractions. Like I was still playing video games and stuff a lot. But by the time I reached the end of my video game playing years, I was mostly playing what are called visual novels. So it's a lot of reading as well. And that coincided with that period. It's funny too how like I grew up reading occasionally and books were all around me and I knew that most of the movies I was watching, I knew they came from some kind of written material. But for some reason in my early 20s, I really wanted to open all these books and read them for myself. Like after one or two, it's like, okay, there's so much more in these than in a movie or something like this.
Yes.
But
Yes, that's something. Once you learn to read and the movies come out, it can be awful because
yes,
like sometimes I
yes.
have to make a choice and be like, which one do I want to enjoy the movie or do
Yeah.
I want to enjoy the book? Because sometimes
Yeah.
you can't do both.
No, no, no. You really can't. And I basically always now will try to read the book first. So even if it's an old movie, if I find out like from the 1950s or something like this, even if I find out that's based on a book, I probably still won't watch it yet. It's like, okay, well, it's based on a book though. Okay, so I'm gonna read the book first. Like I don't, even if it's a really old movie, I'll still read the book first. But yeah.
So did you have a superhero or anything? Because obviously it's like shaped your life. Okay,
Mm.
it's evolved. You know, you went from comics to books to writing yourself. So you've had this kind of arc. But did you have a superhero or something or comic that you loved that kind of inspired you that you still love today? Like, who's your favorite superhero and villain? Can't forget the
Oh,
villain.
okay. So when I was a kid, because these changed over time actually. When I was a little kid, I really loved the X-Men. We had the X-Men cartoons in the 90s.
X-Men, yes.
And my favorite of the X-Men was Wolverine. And it was funny because when we got the movies finally and they made Wolverine the center, like I enjoy that, but at the same time I don't like that the other X-Men are kind of pushed to the side a little bit. It's like he's my favorite, but like this isn't how the X-Men are supposed to work, you know? But
It's true. He's the main character. You're gonna be so proud of me. I actually saw the X-Men. But
oh
only
wow.
only like the first three movies, and then it went to like Logan, and he like went off on his own
Yeah,
kind of
yeah,
thing. I
yeah.
didn't see those ones, but I saw like the first three. I think there's three. I think I saw all three.
Oh
Maybe there's
God, there
two.
are so many X-Men movies and multiple
Okay, well, like
timelines
I
and
don't
yeah,
even
yeah.
know.
But if you saw the ones from like the early 2000s, like what the
Yeah.
first one, X2 and X3, like they all have Hugh
Yeah.
Jackman, all have Patrick Stewart, and
Yes.
they all have
Yes.
Ian
Yes.
McKellen. Yeah, yeah.
Those ones.
The trilogy, the
The
first two
trilogy. I
versions.
saw the
Yeah,
first three. Yeah,
yeah.
but then
Those,
after that.
yeah, like those are fun. I think the first and the second are obviously much better than the third one. But honestly, the third one never bothered me as much as it bothered many other people. it's one of those examples where I kind of understand the dissatisfaction, but like at the same time, I kind of enjoyed what it was for its own,
It's
sake.
something.
Yeah, but yes, when I was a kid, we loved the X-Men. But my favorite superhero was overall Batman, actually, when I was growing up. Because we had the 1989 Batman movie with Michael Keaton growing up. And so that was kind of my Batman growing up was that. And also the animated Batman, we had him a little bit. I had a couple of comics with Batman as well. And I just thought it was so cool that he had no powers, but he has all this technology and everything, and gadgets and his martial arts and all that. It's detective, he's extremely cool. So, and then when I became a teenager, a very strange thing happened. I suddenly got into Spider-Man.
The two
And
that I've seen. Yes.
yeah, like it just made so much sense because like I think when you become a teenager, you suddenly understand Spider-Man a lot better because he is a teenager. Usually prime Spider-Man is permanently a teenager. And suddenly all of his struggles were resonating with me so much. So then
Yes.
I had a period of time where Spider-Man was my favorite. I always liked Spider-Man, but honestly, I was into Spider-Man for the bad guys. When I was a kid, my favorite supervillain was Venom. And because in the 90s, he was totally a bad guy. Him becoming a good guy is a much more recent sort of thing, and he was still a villain in the 90s.
Okay, I
Hardcore.
didn't know that he was a good guy, so that's
Yeah,
new to me.
he's kind of become one, like because of the movies with Tom
Oh,
Hardy, he's like our anti-hero, as people say, but I don't really care for that phrase that much. But I don't think it was really around that much when I was growing up, so I guess I'm kind of rejecting the terminology. I kind of understand what it means, but anyway.
it's okay. I
But
don't
yeah,
know.
but yeah, it's weird when I was growing up and Venom was like hardcore a villain in the animated series. And I always think of him that way. Like he knew Spider-Man's identity. He was like threatening to like ruin his personal life and stuff like this. It was very dark,
Oh
honestly.
my gosh.
But he was like Spider-Man, but he was twisted and dark. So I love that. I had a lot of Venom toys growing up. Then I think as I got into my teenage years, I started getting more into Magneto because I liked that he's kind of right about a bunch of stuff and he's massively powerful. I think I really got into him because of the movies with Ian McKellen as Magneto. Like his
Hmm.
portrayal is so believable. Like you really feel like he's real. He's right in the room with you and could move metal and all of this. And then in my adult years, though, Superman. Superman became my favorite
Ah,
superhero. Yeah, I went full circle. I went all the way back to like the hero of heroes.
I had a feeling because in your book, HEROLESS, drop a
Hey!
mention, hey, you have it
Maybe.
dedicated. You have it dedicated to Philip, right?
Yes, Philip Wiley.
Yeah,
Yes.
Philip Wiley for giving you Superman. So I had a feeling you really like Superman
Oh yeah.
from that.
And then this is going to offend some people because the movie is pretty controversial, but Man of Steel got me to pay a lot more attention to Superman. And then I really got interested in like, well, wait a minute, Superman is actually a much more nuanced sort of character than I realized. And then I was revisiting all the old Superman stuff, and I really got a lot more invested in him from that point on. And the thing with Superman is it's all the stuff he could do that he doesn't do. I think anyone who's been watching The Boys lately will really appreciate the character in there. The Homelander is a really messed up guy. And
Hmm.
his attitude is, I have all this power so I can do whatever I want to do. Where Superman's whole thing is, it's the power of a god, and he chooses to, help people and not interfere in stuff that he's not sure he understands like he could try to take over the world and stop everyone from fighting wars and stuff, but even he knows, I don't think I can untangle everyone's situation. It's just not possible. So
Right.
he steps back from that. But so I really like that restraint. It's just I don't know. I think that's so inspiring that he could do anything, but
Yeah.
he just limits himself. But
No,
man,
Superman is incredible. I love his double
yeah,
identity. I love like
yeah, the
I don't
Clark
know.
Kent glasses
Yeah, like
thing. It's
I
awesome.
love
It's
it.
awesome.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
I
Oh
have
yeah.
not seen Man of Steel though, so I'll watch it though because of you. I'll watch it. You're gonna completely make fun of me, but I watched
No.
Smallville. Don't stop, okay?
Oh wow,
Stop.
Smallville had a huge following. That was
Smallville. I
massive.
was a
Yeah.
teen, I believe. I'm not good with you with the dates,
Oh
but
wow, yeah,
I
super.
loved Smallville when
That was
when it came
huge.
out.
Yeah, that was big.
I
It's
like Lex Luthor as the
yeah,
bad guy
yeah.
in that one. I like their dynamic of like kind of
Mm.
friends, kind of enemies thing. I love that. That part was really cool.
The
Um,
Yeah, Smallville had such a huge following. I think it's a shame that Tom Welling only got to wear like the classic costume for that one bit at the very end
Yes, that's
of the
true.
series. It's like, oh, but it's so cool too that you kind of know that from this point onward,
Then you can watch the movie.
he's just gonna be the ultimate hero, and there's kind of like he's arrived. He's
Yeah.
arrived at being the ultimate, the best. You know, you've watched,
Yes,
you
they did a good
know,
job with that. This is so big, you know. So for you
yeah,
to write
yeah,
a book, a superhero book, it's so smart because it's timeless.
yeah,
This the idea of
yeah.
heroes and villains, good and evil. I mean, you could even go with like James Bond. I mean, spies,
Yes,
and it's almost just like humanity. We need a
yeah.
villain and we need a hero, and so I think it's great that you're writing a book that's with heroes because you love heroes so much. Was it hard to come up with like an original story with I feel like it would be kind of hard to kind of create your own heroes and your own storyline because you are such a fan and you like it
Hmm.
not be repetitive and kind of be unique. Was it hard to for the story to come to you or
It's kind of a mix. Some of it was a bit difficult, but some of it was very intuitive. So there's a handful of characters, some of the heroes, some of the villains, that are some of the characters I invented when I was like 6, 7 years old. Actually, 6, 7. When I was like,
ah.
when I was quite small, like before I could read or write, Silver Falcon, Waterman, are two of my oldest creations. And the Bug was the first character that I created that I could read and write by then. So he's the first character I ever wrote that had dialogue and fully narrated stories from story one.
Wow.
Some of
That's
the vil
great.
Yeah, some of the villains, like the Living Magnifying Glass, very much an off-page character, but he had a full-blown like battle with some of the heroes and stuff back then. And the Overlord character was the Bugs villain originally, which doesn't make any sense to me now because he should have just, pasted him. But there's a couple of references. I have my own references. There are things in there that are just from me that these characters, in my mind, all of those stories ha happened, kind of. But
Yeah,
they
no,
don't really make,
absolutely.
yeah, but they don't really make any sense to put them here explicitly because I was like very a child at the time. But and then so those ones I kept modifying them as I grew up. And then other ones, I created them for the story to kind of fill slots. Other ones evolved so much that they don't even resemble their original selves anymore. Like Brown Derby started off as a guy with armor and like a cloak and a gun. And by the time he was finished morphing on me, he's like kind of a Rorschach type guy with the hat and everything. So he turned into a detective type hero
Mm-hmm.
because originally there was a plan for him to evolve into this more armored sort of guy. But then I wound up ditching that, so he just stayed as this detective type guy. But also, what it was is I wanted to create an entire lived-in world where there are a lot of heroes and a lot of villains. So I wanted to have all like the archetypes. So that's why there is many of the characters are referencing either sort of the archetypical villains. Because you can look at Superman and you can see like a whole bunch of characters in Marvel and DC that look a lot like him that have a similar power set. We've even got to the point where evil Superman has become a whole thing with Omni-Man and Invincible and Homelander and alternate universes where Superman himself is evil. Obviously, trench-coated heroes are very much a thing. I think the character Rorschach from Watchmen made that really big. But when I was growing up, I had the Green Hornet on radio, and he's very much one of the original trench coat, thing. There is a comedy movie with Seth Rogen about the Green Hornet, but that's not that representative of the proper, like, dramatic take on the character.
Yeah.
But so some of the characters, they kind of existed to sort of fill a slot. Like, well, I want to have a stand-in to represent this kind of hero. Like Blue Saturn actually is inspired by The Tick. I don't know if anyone out there watching this knows The Tick. I don't even remember the name of that show. But he is like he wears a blue outfit and he's modeled on a bug. So I just took that and I just modified it to have like the Saturn logo.
I love it.
So and then the villains I think are a little more obviously inspired by some of the characters in DC and Marvel. And people that read it are going to notice it. But I think I'm leaning into it hard enough that it's obvious, but I'm leaning away from it enough that they are their own sort of characters. And some of them are homaging like they're influenced by like three or four different ones. Like Fire Ruby, I was inspired by the character Star Sapphire, who is a Green Lantern villain. And she has a ring, and I think I forget which ring she has, honestly. I used to be so much better with my Green Lantern
It's
lore,
okay. I
like
have no
a
idea.
decade
So,
ago. Yeah. I used to be like much better versed in my Green Lantern lore because each different ring has a different emotion that gives the ring power. So
right.
Green Lanterns are fueled by willpower, and Red Lanterns are fueled by anger. Yellow Lanterns are fueled by fear and stuff like this. And so so Fire Ruby is inspired by lanterns, but also by the Phoenix Force, and also a little bit by the Infinity Gauntlet.
Okay.
So I combined those. I was like, I could like mix these, like give her a gauntlet that has a magical presence inside of it, and then she makes light constructs. So it's literally the Infinity Gauntlet, but it has like a Phoenix Force inside of it, and then she's making the light constructs like a Green Lantern type thing.
It's
But
even better. It's fantastic. You're taking the
yeah,
rules and the laws and you're mixing it and making it your own. That's perfect. I think it's
but
good.
so some of it came much easier than others. I think one advantage I have for inspiration is the challenge for the big studios is that you have to plan on doing another story next month or another movie next year. Whereas this is a nice self-contained narrative, so I can give everyone an ending and really plan ahead everything that they need to do and be able to do. Whereas in comics and TV and in films, there's a natural tendency for everything to kind of escalate over time. Characters gradually just kind of get stronger or more intelligent or more fantastical, whereas I could more easily confine all of it and understand what everyone's role was going to be. And also, even this story, it's stuff I was thinking of for such a long time that most of it came very easily. Some of it is almost first draft. Like there are the first seven or so chapters with the supervillains, because there's a multiple timeline thing going on.
Oh, yeah. It's
Uh,
awesome.
the first like six or seven chapters with the villains, it's pretty much unedited from when I wrote it on my phone in 2017.
No way. No
Yeah, yeah,
way.
because
No, no, no.
the supervillain stuff came the easiest. I was so inspired to tell this story finally once I found the right angle.
I could feel it. I love the villain stuff in your book is
Yeah,
my favorite. It's my favorite.
it was a lot of fun to write that stuff because it's interesting to write characters that are just completely terrible. Like they just casually talk about all this terrible stuff that they do. But honestly, I couldn't finish it the first time I wrote it because I found that kind of hard to write, actually. Like it was coming easily, but the big picture of it was kind of uninspiring for me. It's like, this world is kind of awful though. Like, I don't really like, what's the point of this?
What is gonna happen? Yeah.
Yeah. And then it was when I realized, oh, I can do flashbacks and then I can have the contrast. That was when it kind of unlocked in my brain. And then I could because the hero stuff was originally a totally different, separate project.
Okay.
And when I realized that I could weld it together, and that
It was
these could be the characters in the flashback, I was like, oh, that's the answer. Now I can jump back and forth. And now the project has has a much wider breadth. Because I didn't want it to be like this weird edgelord, everything is terrible kind of thing. I don't enjoy that kind of story. So even though it was coming very easily to me, I wasn't kind of respecting the idea of it that much. And then when I realized, oh, I can have flashbacks, then I found the inspiration to actually come back and finish it. And that was when I realized, I could just take a break from the thing I'm working on, and I could just probably write this in a year or something. And I think it took about a year and a half to write the whole
okay.
thing and edit it. It went through several beta readers, and that's a very fascinating process is beta readers and all of that. I'm sure you've had other guests talk about beta readers, so I won't bore you with how that works. But I think it was only a year and a half to write it. So I had it basically all done by 2023, but it didn't get accepted until 2025 and didn't get published until late 2025. Like the process of trying to get a publisher is very time consuming.
Mm-hmm.
And it also sat on my shelf for a while. Like for much of 2023, I kept thinking, like, is it done? Is it done? Do I do something else? And then 2024 was when I really dived into just like,
Let's finish this.
yeah, let's find an agent, let's find a publisher, let's do something with this. And I was just getting to the point where I was gonna start researching self-publishing. And then I got an email in the middle of the night because the publisher is in Japan. So I got an email in the middle of the night, like 1 o'clock in the morning, and I had to work the next day. So I had to wake up at like 7 or something like this. And I saw the email and I spent like a long time like researching them to make sure it was real because there are so many
Oh
scams and stuff
yeah.
out there. And I went to their website and then I would find names of authors and then I would go to Amazon and like search for the author there with the Amazon search engine rather than going through the portal on
On
the
their thing.
publisher's
Yeah,
website.
yeah.
It's
That's
like,
that's so smart. That's so
yeah.
smart. We have to be crafty because there are
Oh, it
so
is.
many scams. So
Oh
many.
my God. It's yeah,
Mm-mm.
it's insane. Like one thing about being on Twitter is if you can be part of a community, it really helps because then when there are scams going around, someone else is going to say like, "Hey guys, if you get a link from so and so, don't click on it. They've been hacked." Or it happens all the time. It's really,
Yeah.
oh my goodness. But yeah, so I spent time doing that, and then I couldn't sleep. I was way
You're
too
too
excited. Like,
excited, right?
yeah, it's like, how is this real? And like every stage of the publishing process, I was always ready for like it to fall through somehow.
So did you send, like, how does that work? So you finished your book and you
Mm.
want to be published by, a traditional publishing house. So, like, did you send your book to the Japan company? You didn't because you hadn't heard of them, right? So how did they find you? Or like, how does that
Well,
work for
well, I sent
people?
it to them. I didn't find them in a very normal way because they're a bit of a smaller publisher.
Okay.
So I started by just sending to everyone I could. I would just look through places. There are lots of websites out there where you can find agents and publishers and stuff. And I was just trying everything at the same time. Like I didn't really have a very curated list of people while I was writing the book. I was always thinking of that next step. Like, I'm going to write this and I'm going to submit it. That is the plan. I'm going to do the whole thing and really like try to make this aspect of my life move to some kind of next level. And I found this publisher though because one day I was in Twitter and I found two people arguing, and they were arguing about self-publishing and small presses or something like this. Right, one of them was with a vanity press. That's right.
Okay.
You pay them money to publish your book. And the other woman, she was with a small press, and they were arguing about like what is a vanity press or whatever. He was sort of defending his position. So I researched both of them from their argument, and I contacted I can't remember now if I contacted her first. I think I did. Yeah, I contacted her to ask her what the name of her publisher was. And then from there, I submitted, and that's how I got accepted.
Okay.
So that was a really weird way
You've
to
had to
find a
get
publisher. Yeah,
crafty. You have to get like you're like
yeah,
detective,
yeah.
like finding out the clues, searching for
It was
things.
really out in the weeds there, yeah. And then whenever, for the first few months, because there was quite a delay, but honestly, it was less than a year from signing the contract to the book getting released. And for traditional publishing, because this publisher is like a hybrid, they're small, so they only print copies as they get ordered. They don't print a bunch of copies and then put them in stores. They don't have sort of the finances for this.
So
The
once they agree to do you have to then go to like little bookstores and say, "Do you want to
Yes,
have my book?"
that's exactly
This is
it. Yeah,
this is
yeah,
so
that's
much. There's
exactly
so
it.
much to it.
Oh
Okay.
yeah, yeah. This is exactly it. And the thing is you want to be very careful with that because usually bookstores accept your book on consignment. So they'll accept it. But if they don't sell every single copy, they send them back to the publisher, and the publisher doesn't get paid until every single book is sold. So there's a lot of small publishing houses out there that shut down really fast because they didn't understand that process. And they
Well,
didn't realize how difficult it is to sell a lot of books. So if you stocked in too many bookstores and didn't sell literally everything, and the bookstores had to send you any copies back, you have only now spent money. You spent money on shipping and printing and da da
okay.
da da. And a lot of small companies just fold because they try to they overstock the market with a
So
book that
how do
doesn't.
you like how much time do the bookstores have before they send it back?
I think it really varies. Like I've managed to get it into one bookstore here in Prague because there's only a few English bookstores here, but I got into one.
Good.
And they still have it because they're small. This is an advantage of small ones is like, well, we sell a copy once in a while, so we just keep it. They sold out the first run because I think I have enough local friends here that they went and all
Yay!
bought it. So that was pretty cool. But, and really, we're in an era where you can do a lot of online sales. So the thing is, Once in a while, the publisher buys an Amazon ad, and when they do, I always know because I've searched my book enough times that I receive the ads on my mobile device. So whenever the publisher is running an ad campaign, I always wind up seeing it. It's like, ah, yep, there's my book. Well, they're running an ad campaign. That's nice, and you always see it spike a little bit.
That's great though. That must make you feel good to see
Yeah,
it.
yeah, it's really cool. The publisher is very nice. There's
So,
one main guy that runs everything, and he works very closely with you during the time. And
okay.
but he has to. He's one guy, and then I think he's got a few people that work there full time. But then everything else they outsource it. This is how they keep their costs down, is they don't have people on salary. They find, people once in a while to design a cover or do an editing job or something like this. So this is how they keep their costs small. It's a relatively small operation.
Which I just realized we haven't even talked about what it's about, and I think you should probably tell everyone
Probably.
what your book is about because we've like talked about your characters a little bit and stuff like that, but the
Mm,
people watching this are like, these two are just acting like best friends and we
I
don't
know.
know what's going on. So,
Yeah.
can you please summarize your book Hero List for everybody who's watching? Thank
Okay.
you.
So HEROLESS is set in a world where it's, I guess you could say the day after the Earth got scorched. The villains were in charge because the villains all got together and they defeated all the heroes. And that happened 15 years ago. So they've been calling the shots ever since. And our main character, Ledgecarp, he is now in a terrible state of boredom and ennui where it's been 15 years and he realizes that his life doesn't feel like it has any meaning without the challenge of his archenemy. He's done everything that he thought he wanted to do and now it's just kind of pointless. But then at the very beginning of the book, the villains get called into a meeting because they've detected a anomaly, which could be a new superpowered individual that they've never encountered before. So they need to investigate and find out if this is a threat to them. But along with this, there are flashbacks to many years earlier when the superheroes were around. So we see sort of their world and what they were really like, and that they weren't exactly perfect, but they were trying to make things better in their own way. But yeah, I'd say this is my best chance. It's my best ability to summarize without notes.
You did a great job. No, you did a great job. It was a great book. Like I said, it completely, you've opened my door. I don't usually read superhero books. So I was just like, okay, let's see what this is about. And I loved that it starts off with the villains and the villain point of view. I loved how, like, the scene that you set, the clown town was
Yeah,
fascinating to me. All of that was so good. And I mentioned it to you that I thought it was so cool that that like your main character Carp, he has this moment where he's like walking down the street and he goes back to where he defeats, his superhero, and he's just full of regret and he's
yeah,
bored and he's like sentimental and he's like it's like he's speaking to a lost friend, and he's like
yeah.
he's having this moment where he's just like, missing that, I don't know, rivalry.
Yes,
Um,
the thrill of the hunt and everything. Yeah,
yes, and it
yeah.
was fascinating to me. I like went to my husband. I'm like, this is so cool, because I'm
Oh, nice.
serious. Because for one, as someone like I said who doesn't know that much about it, normally the superheroes win. So right off the
Yeah,
bat, I'm like, okay, this is different. I like this. And then to have the emotion and like everything
yeah.
that you put in the villains, I loved it. I loved through the
Oh,
whole
thank you.
thing.
Thank you.
And even your heroes, like, I have notes as well, so I'm like kind of looking here. I think it's on
Yeah,
here
yeah, of
somewhere. I
course.
have too many notes. Elizabeth, I have to remember the names. Elizabeth, yeah, she is a superhero in the
Mm,
book, and but I love that she just like didn't fit in and wasn't.
yeah.
It's like even though she was part of the team and she was friends with
Mm,
the other heroes, you could just see
yeah.
that she had this self doubt. She never felt like she was one of the guys, and
Yeah.
that was so like, yeah, your writing was fantastic and I just
Oh,
loved
thank
it.
you.
I really loved your book. I really did.
Thank you. I appreciated it. It's nice to have like a tailor-made interview with someone who really has read it and knows the names and the plot points and everything.
Yes. And there were things that like I said, I don't want to spoil too much, but there was
Yeah.
things that I liked that you did with the flashbacks, For instance, you like you said, it starts with the meetings with the villains, and they kind of have a meeting. But very soon after, there's a flashback with the meeting of the superheroes, and the
Yes.
meetings are so different. And it is
Yeah,
so
yeah, yeah.
funny that the villains are actually taking everything really seriously, and the
Yeah.
heroes are kind of clowning around. And it's like
Yes,
the
yes.
heroes didn't have a plan; they're just like, "All right, let's get together." And then, of course, it's like, "Of course, that's why you lost, guys. Come on, get it together."
Yeah.
But it was
Yeah, yeah.
so fun to have kind of the side by side of that. I
Yeah.
appreciated it. I don't know if you did that on purpose, but I liked it.
I
That was
mean,
pretty fun.
that was sort of the plan, and you notice there's even sort of an escalation that we have the villain meeting, then we've got just Elizabeth and Roy, and then from her
Yes.
flashback, there's the meeting of like everybody. And I mean, that was sort of the thing that I feel like if you're, it was sort of a logical step that the meetings would be this way. Because if we've got villains that were organized and thoughtful enough to take over the world, and they've been running it for 15 years without having a civil war or something like this, like they would be like the smartest, the most disciplined of, these people. And often when I was a kid, I often felt like our villains in media are much more disciplined and serious than the heroes. Like I could never really rationalize when I was a kid that
How
when I
come
would
they
watch,
didn't win?
yeah, like when I would watch Star Wars, I think Star Wars is the worst offender in my childhood.
Mm.
That I would look at the Empire and like, dang, they're so organized. They've got all these machines and everything. Like it really doesn't feel like the heroes have a chance. But then Star Wars, I think, handles it well. I think the original Star Wars trilogy actually does make that work, and the prequel trilogy too. Like once you get the revelation of what's really going on in that world, it does suddenly make sense. Oh, that's what's really going on. But anyway, so that was sort of the idea that logically, if they were organized enough to win, they would be organized, they'd be serious. And with the hero meeting, because this is back to when it was all early, they kind of don't really know what they're doing. Like they kind of, some of them have ideas that aren't very realistic. Other ones have like very small goals, like, I'll just save one person at a time. I don't know. Also, this is the early days when there were like almost no supervillains, so they don't even know if they're ever going to really be challenged or something like this. But
Yes, yes. The
but
flashbacks, like you already said a little bit that you wrote it kind of as two separate things, and then realized you could put them together.
yeah,
Because I was wondering, I was like, this is like there's past tense, there's past future, there's hero side of you, villain side of you. I was like, was this really hard to write? Because there's like so much going on here, but it flowed nicely. Like it's not
oh, thank
chaotic.
you.
It wasn't chaotic. It was so good.
The,
Everyone should read it.
The flow I notice is maybe the most divisive thing. Some people, when they read it, it takes them a bit of time to get into the pace of the flashbacks. But when I read, I love this thing of changing times. I got the idea actually from a book by Matt Haig called How to Stop Time. And in that, it's a guy that's been alive for hundreds of years. So some scenes are in the medieval era, some are in the modern era, and it would jump back and forth with very short chapters. And that's kind of where the idea came from, to be jumping and have this sort of flow by being able to skip boring stuff. That's what I like about the time skips is I was able to imply a kind of mundanity to this world back when the heroes were around, where they spend a lot of time. Like we see one of the heroes, this is relatively early, so it's a minor scene. We see a scene where Roy, when he was a superhero, when he stops a mugging in a park, like the guy already has taken the wallet and left, and then he flies and follows him. And then he
Yes.
lands. And it's not like a fight. Like he's bulletproof. He has laser beams. He can fly. Like he's super strong. He's not going to fight this guy. He's just going to like take his gun away and take the wallet back. Like this isn't a battle per se. And this
Yes.
and this would be 90% of his evenings. It just would not be interesting to read about for action because there is no action. And even when you have an action scene, I think an advantage of books is that you don't have to have scenes that go on for like 6 minutes, so the audience gets their spectacle quota. I do that. There are some very long sequences in the book where there's action, but I only do it when I feel like it makes sense that these combatants would survive fighting each other for any amount of time. You need a certain skill set because, there are some characters that their power level is really high. And there are other characters that compared to a normal human, sure, they're really powerful, but compared to one of these guys, it would still just be, you're you're done.
And I
But
think and I think you made up for any of that with the with the emotions that you put into the characters because of how you layered it. Like I said, there would be like a very serious scene, you know, where there's someone's feeling like regret or sadness or
Yeah.
something like that, and then it flows to like, you know, an action scene and there's like something
Yeah.
going on. You're like, okay, this is really cool. And then I love the kind of diner scene, the
Yeah.
diner scene
Yeah.
because it does like the just enough comedy, you know, where it's just like
Mhm.
there's a battle going on. It's like, don't they need us? And he's like, well, yeah, but you know, like
Yeah.
I purposely had you not check your phone, and so that was
Yeah.
really
Yeah. Yeah.
funny. And so it's just like, ah.
Totally.
Oh my
Yeah.
God, get over
Yeah.
there, guys. And you're
Yeah.
like rooting for the villains and you're sympathetic for the heroes. And it just had so much emotion to it through the whole thing that it was like, and then the ending. Oh my God, I can't even talk
The
to you right
ending.
now.
Yeah, the ending.
That was
The
fun
ending.
because, no, we're not going to talk about it.
No, no, we can't spoil it, of course,
We're not
but
going to spoil it. But I did want to ask if, and I have so many things I want to talk to you about. I wanted to ask if you had that plan the whole time because,
yes.
okay, it
The
seemed like,
ending, yeah, the I am very much an outliner writer. If I don't have an outline, I can't even get started. And there's an original version of this story that is much simpler. And like I said, I just found it too kind of dark to only pursue that idea. But when I realized that there was this new way I could spin it that would impact how we would feel at the end about this book and where it would sort of sit in our mind, the that's when I realized I could write it because now I knew where I was going. If I don't know where I'm going, I can't even begin. Like I'll often write the last chapter early in the writing of a manuscript, or even just the last paragraph. Like once, if I think of the exact words I want to have, I'll just go to the end of the document and just put it there. Like, okay, here's the
that's so
last
smart.
scene.
That's so smart.
Yeah.
So you don't forget it.
Sometimes I'm a little intimidated that so many of my mutuals are, pantster or gardener types, as George R. R. Martin likes to call it. And so I see them like, 3,000 words in a day, 5,000 words in a day. And I'm like, I'm just like, I am technically writing, but like I'm doing an outline. Like the outline for HEROLESS, I think it's more than 3,000 words, but I'm not exactly sure.
What?
Yeah, yeah. Like I had a little outline for every single chapter. And I would actually,
What? Get
yeah,
out
like
of here.
I would copy paste, I would copy it, and then because I have one document that's notes and another document that is the manuscript, and I would copy the relevant section from the notes and paste it, and then I would just write and always keep it there.
But what do you put in there? Like just your idea for the chapter or do you actually like write a piece of the chapter like I'm fascinated, sorry.
Well,
Cuz that's a lot.
it'll be like a condensed like plot point sort of thing. Like, we have just chapter one because that's the easiest. Clark wakes up, he's feeling sad, and then he gets dressed and he leaves. If I think of an exact line at that moment, I might write it in. If I do get an idea, like, oh, she'll say this exact thing. And
Okay.
then, but it's usually like she tries to convince him not to go, and he leaves anyway. And then he drives here, and he goes there, and he feels sad here, and then he goes there. Then his phone rings, and that's the end of the chapter. It was dialogue was much harder for me to write than narration. Narration came much more easily to me because I've always liked to use big words and like long sentences and stuff like this. None of which works for ordinary people having conversations.
I liked Elizabeth talking with Roy.
That was my favorite part to write. Actually, was them. For me,
Yeah.
that was my emotional center writing it was them. It's so I think it might have been the most difficult stuff sometimes. And actually,
But
something with them is I would often write past the point where I knew the chapter would end because it's meant to be one really, really, really long scene. If you removed all the interceding cutaways,
mhm.
you can actually read it all as one run-on thing, actually. But like I literally would write the conversation and then think, where will I put the break?
Well,
Where
you did a
where
great job because it was perfect. It was perfect, and I
Oh, thank
loved
you.
it. I loved it. I really did.
Thank
Except I
you.
had to remember who they were, who Roy was. I was like, because you talked about him with his like superhero name. So
Yes.
I was
Yeah,
like, and
yeah.
I'm bad with names in general, and I'm so bad at names. So I was like, so I was like, wait, who is this guy again? I'm like, oh yeah, okay, I know who he is.
Yeah, yeah. Like which
Um,
mask was him? Yeah.
yeah, I was like, wait, which one was this guy? Oh yeah, I think I know.
Yeah.
And that was it too. Like they were like undercover. They were hiding in their, they weren't.
And they're
It's almost
civilian.
like they're regular selves were actually their hidden identity.
Yes.
Who they truly were was the hero, and they were like having to suppress that. And your book
Yes.
was so good. Everyone buy it,
Thank
okay?
you.
Come on,
Thank you.
it's so good.
I think you saw it the way I wanted it to be seen. Like that is the classical thing with superheroes, that the hero identity is who they are underneath. Like you've seen the Batman trilogy by Christopher Nolan with Christian Bale, and that performance by Christian Bale is one of the best, if not the best, overall performance of by an actor of a superhero, because he captures that Batman. And he's talked about this in interviews. I'm not making this up. He's spoken about this several times in interviews. Christian Bale has. That Batman really has three kind of personas. And like Bruce Wayne is fake. The public Bruce Wayne that talks to people and interacts with people is mostly not real. The Batman persona is also not 100% authentic. There are things about it that are affectations for intimidation and to disguise that he's Bruce Wayne, like the voice change and stuff.
Yes, I can't even do it. I
Yeah.
thought I'd do it, and then it'd be so embarrassing. So I'm glad I thought about not doing that. Okay.
Yeah, and then his real persona is really only seen by Alfred most of the time. And he's much quieter and sort of burned out looking and more introspective and sort of introverted than either, like if someone interacts with Batman and never sees the real Bruce Wayne, they'd probably be surprised that he's like some quiet guy that sits in a cave most of the time. And then people that think they know Bruce Wayne, well, they think he's some vacuous guy that inherited his money and is like an idiot, right?
Oh yeah, like
But
inherited, like a rich.
and it's the same as like Superman. Like Superman is the real identity. I think that Superman maybe is one of the best characters where Clark Kent is 100 is mostly a disguise. Not in his values or his ideas or something like this that is authentic. That is authentically what he really does believe. But he does a lot of affectations. He changes his voice, he changes his stance, he does his hair differently, he wears the glasses and all of this.
Hmm.
When he's Superman, he actually has one step less, covering his face is completely uncovered. He doesn't wear gloves. And Superman actually, I really like the world building of Superman. This is one reason why he's my favorite superhero, that I love that he has a public identity as Kal-El from Krypton. And he lives in the Fortress of Solitude in the Arctic. And this is one reason why people in this universe never figure out that he's Clark Kent, because they don't even think Superman has another identity. He's just 24/7 this guy. Like he's registered, legally under this name. If he needs to go to court, if he has to, sometimes he's been arrested, any of this, he can legally do all of this because he's a perfectly real identity.
Hmm.
And I love that about Superman, that Clark Kent is 100% the fake thing that he
The
does.
fake.
Yeah, to keep contact with humans and to, find stuff as Clark Kent, because being a reporter is handy. So I was really trying to get that angle into my own book, that someone who feels the need to dress up and fight crime, they're not going to reveal their identity like the Fantastic Four or something like this. Part of the Spider-Man thing as well, that when he's Spider-Man, like he talks way more, he's more open with his opinion and feelings. But oddly enough, it's when his face is covered, you know?
Yeah.
But so I was really trying to capture that, and also that because of the circumstances, they're in on it and no one else is. And even amongst the heroes, most of them didn't share personal information. They always
Hmm.
kept like a level of guardedness. Whereas these two somehow they found out who each other were, and it only made them sort of closer. But also, I wanted their relationship to be like very warm and everything because it's
Hmm.
supposed to really contrast to how the villains are. That they're always like they're only working together because there's a hierarchy of this guy is stronger, this guy is stronger, this guy is stronger, and the strongest one won't permit them to fight each other. That's something that comes up several times. That they'll argue and then he'll be like, "Okay, just shut up now. We have stuff to do. We can't fight with each other. That's not allowed. Otherwise, this will all fall apart." The way it
Yes,
always
and
did
I
back in the
love that
80s.
too. I love that
Yeah.
too.
Whereas with Roy and Elizabeth, this is real friendship. And there's a massive power disparity. Like, she is one of the least powerful superheroes. and he's one of the most powerful heroes, but the powers are not important. This isn't what, their friendship is built on. It just doesn't impact their friendship,
Right.
whatsoever. But I think, especially considering that the first time she sees him, she is like, "Oh my goodness, it's him! Like he can fly! Like that's just
Yeah,
almost
it
no one can
all.
fly." Yeah, but then like he's just very regular. He's like, "Oh hey, wow, that was pretty cool. You stopped him. Well, that was pretty neat." I was like, "Oh okay," but yeah. Also, this is something fun for me is that Roy, he's British, but he's doing an American accent, so people won't figure out that he's
Yes.
British. And sometimes it slips slightly. So something, the reason I did that is because there are so many actors that have played superheroes that are not American.
Yes.
There are so many. So I wanted to at least have one non-American superhero who's pretending to be American because I just like Anthony Starr, who plays the Homelander, is I think New Zealand or else Australia. Hugh Jackman, who plays Wolverine, is Australian. Ian
Mm-hmm.
McKellen and Patrick Stewart are British. Michael Fassbender is British as well, I
Yeah,
believe.
the first time you hear these people interviewed and they talk crazy, you're like, wait, what? Because
What?
their American
Yeah.
accents are usually pretty good.
Yeah, I
And so
know,
if you
right?
don't know, you don't know. And then when you figure it out, you're just like, no, get out of
Yeah,
here.
I know, I
What
know.
accent is that?
Yeah. Well, and the other idea, and I think the reason why I needed to figure out a way to have the heroes actually in the book was that the whole idea of it is that even though the heroes have all been displaced and killed and the villains beat them and everything, the whole idea is that even in defeat, they're still morally superior. Like now that they're not there and there's this weird threat coming from space, suddenly the villains are like, okay, well we didn't really think about this part. We better get organized. Like, well they beat them, so we better like find their old research and figure out how they did it the first time. Like
Yes,
I
and
was
it's like
improved.
the villains have to become heroes in a weird way, but at the same
Exactly.
time they don't have any of the characteristics of a
Yeah,
hero. They don't have any of the it's
exactly.
all competition and like they're all
Yeah,
like being the better one even though they
yeah.
all can't be.
Well, and
So good.
we don't sort of think about it, I think, but like, you have like your characters that fight, guys on the street, and then you have sometimes they have to fight Thanos from space or, evil AIs like Ultron trying to take over the world or destroy it or whatever. But every time that the Justice League defeats Darkseid and saves the whole world, they also saved their entire rogues gallery. Like Lex Luthor got saved, Joker in the Asylum, he also got saved. Batman has literally saved and
Yes.
defeated his rogues gallery like 100 times over. And that's why, even though the villains took over, this universe didn't just suddenly change the rules because the heroes are gone. Like the pressures that made them exist are still there. And it's like,
Yes.
oh, I guess we have to do this now. Ugh, all right.
We're in charge. Who did
Yeah.
this?
You
Why did we
exactly. You've inherited all of
the
the difficulties now.
responsibility. The
Yeah,
responsibility
exactly.
because they
Exactly.
just had fun just messing with the heroes. It was just kind of like pranking and fun and but then now they have to be in charge of their own sections of the city and it's like
Exactly. Exactly.
mistake. So I want to switch gears just a tiny bit. Have you ever been to like a Comic-Con
I
because
have. They have
of your
Comic-Con
love?
here in Prague, and I've been a couple of times.
Do you love it?
Yeah, yeah, Comic-Con is awesome. I go if there are guest stars that are interesting.
Okay.
And because what I do, I just hang out where the guest stars are. I just want to listen to what they're going to talk about and stuff. And I actually was at one, the last one in Prague last year. I was at it, and they had Ian Glenn, who played Jorah Mormont in Game of Thrones there. So I got to ask him a question and
I'm
listen to
so
his
jealous.
answer. Yeah, that was so cool. They had a couple of the actors from One Piece, but I had not up on my One Piece, so I don't remember their names. They had a couple of actors from One
Ah,
Piece. The first year I went to Comic-Con in Prague was in 2024, and it was like I knew every single guest star that was going to be there. And like they had Anthony Daniels, who plays C-3PO in Star
mm-hmm.
Wars. He was there. They
That's so
had,
cool.
yeah, they had Michael Ironside, who's the voice of Sam Fisher in the Splinter Cell franchise. I know him from other stuff, but there's a lot of people that mainly think of him as the voice of Sam Fisher. Kevin Sorbo was there, who played Hercules on TV in the 90s.
Whoa.
Yeah, it was loaded into 2024. It was crazy. And last year they had Billy Boyd from Lord of the Rings who plays
Oh
Pippin.
yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
did you post something on your YouTube channel about that?
Not on YouTube. I think on one of my other social media there was
I
something
think I
like
saw it because he
yeah,
was
yeah.
singing. Didn't he sing?
Yes, yes. My girlfriend took a video and she sent it to me, so I shared it on my social.
Okay, okay. That was super cool. I was really
Yeah.
jealous when I watched it. I was like, man,
Oh
that
yeah.
would have been so cool.
Oh, it was. It was amazing.
Oh.
Yeah. It
So
was
I don't,
amazing.
I've also never been to Comic Con. I've always wanted to go, but since I
Ah.
don't know, I more like the like people dressing up, people getting into it. I
Mm,
like that vibe. I love being around people. I love the atmosphere.
yeah.
Whether I know a lot about the comics or not, it's still my thing because I just
Mm,
love that kind of society with people
mm.
getting
Oh yeah.
involved with things that they love. I'm all
Yeah.
for that. That's me. So I've
Yeah.
always wanted to go, but there's a place where you go and you set up booths and people who love books go and they're like obsess over the authors and the books. And now I'm like, what is this? I want to be a part of it right now.
Yeah. I
Do you know
was
what that is?
I was actually at one in England last April called Pacify. It was my first ever live event, but yeah, I had to buy a table, I had to get plane tickets and reserve a hotel and all of this. But it was an amazing experience. That was when I needed the 20 copies of my book printed and sent to England. And
Okay. So you did sell your book there.
I did it, yes.
Yay!
Yes, it was
Yay!
amazing. Like, it's similar to like being on a podcast where suddenly you're just in an environment where everyone is either an author or a reader, and it's such an incredible experience. And I sold more than half of the books, so I was able to
Yes.
bring them back with me in my luggage. And now I've sold them to people here, so I only have one left. So I managed to, yeah.
Hey!
So, the trip couldn't be paid for by the actual books, of course, but I wanted to do it for the just the fun of doing it and
Doing
feeling
it,
like an
putting
author is
yourself
that
out
good.
there, that's
Yeah.
how
And
you need to do it.
Seeing England was so much fun. Like I was in a small town called Harrogate, and it was just really, really nice. Everyone was so polite and everything. Even the bus drivers are like super courteous and everything there. But
Yeah.
yeah, it was really lovely.
Okay, everybody, thank you so much for watching. This is HEROLESS. It is amazing. I read it myself. It's perfect. Um, the link is in the description below if you want to buy it right now. So go ahead and get it. And thank you so much, Antoine, for being here with us and being on this channel. It's been so much fun talking with you. We've had a blast all night. Your book is amazing. You're a great writer, and I can't wait to see what else you do. And just thank you so much for being on the channel with me.
Thank you, Bailey. It was amazing being here.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.